Hello everyone, Christina Werner here. Welcome to Mail Art number 9 for Mail Art Month 2024. Today's envelope doesn't have a specific card that I'm planning to put inside of it. I just really loved the idea of making an envelope with a bunch of pencils on it. So going along with that theme, I picked out a school bus stamp and also this Ernie stamp from the Sesame Street set of postage stamps from a few years ago. So like I said, I'm doing pencils and they're going to be kind of nice, big and thick pencils so that I can then put a name and address on the pencils. So I decided to make the pencils an inch thick and with about an eighth of an inch between each pencil. So I used my T-square ruler to draw on all of the pencils as well as segmenting the pencils into 3 sections because I'm planning to color them with a light shade on top, a medium shade in the middle, and then a darker shade on the bottom. And pencils generally have like ridges or flat sides on them, and I thought this would really lend itself to that look. So I just penciled these on. I think there might even be some postage stamps or dies out there that you could use to recreate some pencils on an envelope. But I decided to just pencil them on because I didn't have anything like that in my stash. I used an eraser and erased a lot of the lines that were unnecessary. And then I put in some cardstock inside my envelope, just a 5x7 piece of cardstock. I'm going to be coloring these pencils with Copic markers. And as you might know, Copic markers tend to bleed through cardstock. And I don't want it to bleed through so far as to add color to the other side of the envelope as well. So I just have that paper inside. And then, like I said, I'm picking out different colors, like 3 shades of each color for each pencil. And I decided to make these very colorful. They're a little bit more in like pink, purple type of look, but they don't entirely match the Ernie stamp. But I think it's still okay. They're kind of a little bit primary colors, but a little bit more, I guess, like just pinks instead of reds and lavenders instead of purples. They're not like primary colors. They're a little bit more toned. So I moved on to this pink one, and I really think of all of these pencils, my favorite color combos that I picked for this are this pink combo, and then I'm going to eventually do kind of like a blue-green kind of aqua combo, which I really, really love. But I kind of want some pencils in all of these colors. I think that'd be really fun. I added on some green, and I'm going to do 3 shades just like I did before. So having big kind of thick pencils like this gives a lot of real estate for where to put your address. I think you could even make the center pencil even larger and get the name and address all on one pencil. I decided to split them into 2 pencils just for space sake, and I wanted to have more pencils for more color on my envelope. But you could definitely make it just one big huge pencil and even kind of tilt the pencil for a little bit of interest. I think that could be really fun to change it up. You could have it be a jumble of pencils where they're not all lined up. They could be, tilted in different directions, kind of skewing out, maybe even overlapping one another. I think that could be really cute too. So here's that blue-green color combo that I really love. This color combo just is really, really pretty, especially right next to that pink combo. So I'm glad I used this teal color for the big long pencil at the top and also a tiny bit on the side. I then used my E31 Copic marker to color the wood sections on these pencils. And then I went in with a nice kind of salmon coral shade, very pale coral shade, to color in the erasers. Now these are not colored pencils, so they do have erasers. I want them to be like regular number 2 pencils, but I wanted them to be colorful. I add a little bit of shading with an R32 marker, just a little bit of shadow. And then I came in with a black Copic marker and colored in the pencil lead on the tips of these pencils. The little silver parts on the pencils, I almost considered using a chrome marker. I have this marker that's a really, really shiny chrome, and I thought that'd be kind of cool. But in the end, I decided to just go ahead and color it with a few different shades of neutral gray, and that worked out really well. All right, so the pencils are pretty much done. I'm going to erase everything that is still kind of available to erase. Some of the lines are trapped under the color, but a lot of the pencil lines were able to be erased. And then I used an N2 very light neutral gray shade to add just a little bit of shading. You could also just leave the shading off, but I kind of liked the look of that. I then penciled Patsy's name onto the pencil. I just sketched it on with a pencil. And by the way, big thank you to Patsy for allowing me to use her address today. This address is used with permission, and if you would like to submit your address for consideration in future mail call videos, go ahead and go to that link down below in the video description. You can fill that out, and there is a new form every single month. I delete all the addresses at the end of the month and start new, and that's to make sure that all the addresses are current when I use them. I used a Pilot twin marker to put on the name and address. So it has two ends on the marker, a thicker end, which I used on her name, and this more fine tip for the address. And then I removed that cardstock inside the envelope. You can see how much of that color came through onto that cardstock. So I'm glad I put that inside. I then did my own return address for my mailbox on the flap on the back of the envelope. Just filled that out. And then really the only thing left to do is just keep erasing any of those pencil lines. I penciled on her name and address when I did it, so I needed to erase it after the fact. I then put the postage stamps on. I'm going to put that Ernie stamp right up in that corner, and then I'll do the school bus stamp right next to it. Now, everything I used on my envelope today is basically waterproof. So I'm not going to worry about doing micro distress glaze or distress micro glaze on the envelope. It should hold up really well going through the mail. So that's my envelope for today. Another big thanks to Patsy for letting me use her address. And thank you all so much for watching. I'll be back on Friday with mail art number 10 for Mail Art Month. This month is just flying by. It's going so quickly, and it's been a lot of fun doing all these envelopes. So I hope you'll come back and check out more of the envelopes on Friday and then also next week. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.